We're coming live today to talk about noticing. And I would say, as a team, we're pretty high caliber noticers. What's your connection to noticing?
Connection. I think I'm noticing that I'm stuck right now. I'm noticing that I'm not sure where I'm going with this. I'm noticing your beautiful face on the screen. That's an easy one. I'm noticing your hair. I know I have the connection with noticing. I think noticing is just something I do. My brain does. And you can develop that with practice and curiosity and your intention. Something everybody does. Some people don't do it as well as others, and you can get better at it.
So, in regards to Parn, like something that we're developing and cultivating, I find that noticing is always happening, like when we're playing or we're relating to each other or attending to each other or giving each other attention. And especially after revealing, it's so interesting to see and notice what happens from those big first three things. Like, N is the last letter. Not that it happens in order, but so what about in relationship? I mean, to me or other, or, I know it can be kind of a vast topic. Like there's a noticing in nature, there's a noticing in other things. But how about in relationships? Like, how important is it?
I think the better you are at noticing and then being able to describe what you're noticing to your partner and revealing who you are from what you're noticing will get you closer. It'll enhance the relationship. Like if you're noticing and not revealing, I don't know how much good that does. And if you're not noticing, you'll definitely be drifting apart.
I love that. I love that noticing without revealing. Really, whoever's listening to this, think about that. Like if you're noticing, I don't know, for me, if I'm noticing a lot and not revealing, I'm building a case study of making the other person wrong or like, yeah, in some way.
I'm not sure if I'm making a case study. I may be just becoming distracted with something else, and so my attention and my noticing is elsewhere, and doesn't stay focused on the relationship.
Yeah, that's my little system is, yeah, I notice this a lot when I'm working or around children and parents. I don't want to say all, but there's a lot of like wrong making, like I'm teaching you. And so there's a lot of noticing that goes on without revealing. Just, the revealing is like, I'm worried that you're going to be a screwed up adult, or I'm worried that you're going to get in trouble, or I'm worried that you're going to get hurt. So there's all these lessons being taught on what a parent is noticing about the child. So if I think about that in a relationship, it's like the noticing happens when I really care. Like if I'm noticing and documenting and thinking and noticing, there's a focus there. What do you think about
Yeah,
that?
I think it makes sense. I'm not sure what you meant by making a case, like making a case, a negative case against them or against yourself, or thinking maybe they don't like you, or that or or you're not getting through to them.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm collecting information about my noticings and withholding and not sharing and revealing what I'm
Right?
noticing, it usually is not a good thing. Um, and it makes it's like empowering the monster that's pointing things out that's
Right.
not working.
We used to call those things communication lags.
Hmm.
So, like if you're having sex with somebody and you feel this wonderful pleasure and you don't mention it, so it reduces the pleasure that you actually had. At least your remembering self won't remember it as so much. But if you can mention how much pleasure you're having or what feels good or some good moments you're having, like even in a conversation, that'll keep the lag from being lagging and keep it up to date. So again, the communication here, I guess, is important to go along with the noticing.
Yeah.
If you're not noticing, there's nothing to communicate really. But usually, there's something you just let slip by, or you're not didn't know if it's worth saying, or But I think go for it. And if you can make somebody unhappy or say the wrong thing, that you can talk about that too. But I think you have to at least express what you're feeling and what you're noticing.
Yeah, and what you just said, those two lines, like expressing what you're feeling and what you're noticing. It's like expressing what you're noticing can be, I think, the quicker it's revealed, there's less feeling. Sometimes when things get a feeling is noticed, it can get like hairy arms and legs, like all sorts of things start to grow from it. But if you like, wow, I'm noticing that I'm checking out. and something feels good, or I'm noticing that I don't want to speak right now, or I'm noticing it's really hard to tell you a good thing.
Yeah, and I also had the thought like, suppose it's something you don't like about your partner. You don't like, you know, some pimple they have on their face or something, you know. And you start thinking, should I say something about that or not? You know, I don't think you have to reveal everything that goes through your head. I mean, it's not, you know, but I think the more positive things that you reveal, the better it is.
Yeah.
If it's something that really bothers you, I think you have to bring it up to some point at some point. But I think when I'm talking about noticing, it's usually the good things that gets lagged behind.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really, really good point. I think there's I don't know if I think there's too much oversharing, but I think people feel in order to connect, they have to constantly reveal about themselves. And so going deeper into this, it's like, can you reveal about yourself? And can you reveal about your noticing about yourself and noticing about other? And also what the other is impacting you. Like if you notice the pimple or something that's weird, you can notice that it's making you want to like offer guidance or fix it or do something.
So, what do you think you should do in that circumstance? What do you think the
I
best?
would like a little bit of prep, like, wow, there's something I feel so stupid bringing up, but it's like keeping me from being connected to you. It might hurt your feelings, but if I don't share it, I feel distant and I can't
You
focus
know,
on anything else.
yeah. It's like what mole?
Well, mole is different than a pimple, but yeah, listen, this stuff isn't easy, but I think the noticing, like you said, is really good to do when it's good things, like set the stage to be successful. If you're going to nitpick someone,
Yeah, I think if you don't mention the good things, that's when a lot of things turn sour. So I think that's where the emphasis can be.
yeah, and it can be kind of weird and annoying. It's like, all right already, but then that might be the person not being able to receive. So the notice things could be good things, positive compliments, or just things that are neutral. Like I'm noticing I feel air on my face.
Right? Or I noticed that I'm going away right now. I didn't hear what the last thing you said. Like I think it's better to admit that than to let it pass. And sometimes I'm in a conversation and I don't mention anything. I didn't hear the last couple of sentences you said or something. So it'd probably be better if I said I missed that. Could you repeat that? Or
Yeah. Yeah. Or just like I notice I don't remember your name and I can't listen to you because I feel stupid about that.
well, I just ask people their name. I'll say I forgot your name.
But that's the thing, like, there's
Yeah,
so much, self-judgment on doing things wrong that we just pretend we know, or we pretend we think we know the right way to be.
yeah,
It feels very innocent, like a child, when I say something that feels so obvious, but just stating it anyway, it's like we can play in this field instead of pretending to be cool or pretending to be smart and just be human with that childlike innocence.
yeah. Reminds me that there's a book I read. I forget the name of the book now, but his girlfriend kept asking him, like, "What are you thinking?" And his answer was always, "I hate that fucking question."
Yeah. Well, and I understand why it's hated. And I understand in that moment, she might be feeling like, oh my God, he wants to leave me. Like there's some piece that's not
Right.
being revealed. And so, I don't think the guy would be like, actually, what I'm thinking is you're a loser. Like I don't think that they would come out with the worst thing. But what would you recommend? Because that's, I think,
And he's probably thinking, something the baseball score or something, something totally unrelated. You know,
maybe,
I
yeah.
just want to bring it up because he thinks like she'll judge me as being an idiot or a stupid
Right.
guy.
Right. Well, that's a great noticing too. It's like, wow, I'm noticing I don't want to tell you what I'm really thinking about because it seems really dumb and stereotypical. I mean, this kind of
Not,
stuff,
not that I'm talking about myself or anything.
I think it's cute that you watch sports. Like, you're a
Yeah.
wise, educated man. And when you watch sports, I'm like, oh, look, he's also a dumb guy. It's so cute. Yeah. I mean, it's joyful. I didn't say something nice just now, but I kind of did. I gave you
I
the
don't know.
compliment.
I felt it as a compliment. I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe
Yeah.
because you were smiling and turned on when you said it.
But I also front loaded it with some good things, which is true. And the dumb guy thing, I think, is a stereotype that isn't really necessarily true. And, who cares? Like, let people be interested in what they're interested in. As women, let's say we shop all the time. Like, it's true. That's what I do. I love it. So in relation, so we have a Parn group coming up this Sunday, depending on when anybody's watching this. And you're like a daily meditator. So I want to just include how noticing can be taken from our group dynamic or even our dynamic in a relationship and to use noticing to make it a more fruitful connection. Like how
I'm
can
not
you use it?
sure what you're asking. I have moments where I'm in my head and I start thinking about things, and then I'll say, "Oh yeah, I was just thinking about Helen," or she's always needs money or something. So they have these thoughts that kind of thoughts upon thoughts upon thoughts, and then you realize I've been thinking for the last 20 seconds, you know, of something, and I haven't really been noticing anything else. I haven't really noticing the world. I haven't been noticing my breath. I haven't been noticing the birds flying around. So when I realized that, I kind of went into my head. And I can go back to noticing, whatever is happening besides my thoughts.
Got it. I love that. That sounds like very meditative
Yeah,
insights, which is like, drilling or scrolling or anything that's just like, it's like, whoa, I noticed I just got sucked into some kind of vortex that doesn't need my attention in that way.
right. It's useless thinking.
Mm.
Sometimes some thoughts I think are productive and or joyful. It's like the other day when I was walking and I started thinking about that interviews. I was doing interviews with a ghost, and then I did an interview with the goose, and then I did an interview with Santa Claus, and I was being amused by it. So these were like thoughts. I probably wasn't noticing, you know, the birds or the trees around me while I was doing that as much as I sometimes do. But I think that but sometimes, thoughts can be amusing and creative. So I think you have to pick and choose, what you're noticing. And
Yeah.
a lot of things like you're not really in control what happens, but I think the more you practice, like meditation, a little meditation here and there, then you can take it out to the rest of your day. You don't have to do it like in a chair, listening to some old guy tell you what you should be doing. You can do that sometimes, but then you can go out in the world and just take deep breaths and notice different things. And what would Shane like?
Also, I was just playing with the idea of like when you reveal, you can notice, but you can have a noticing and then reveal. Like, let's say, you're like, wow, I can't stop thinking about Helen. I really care and I'm really worried. It's like reaching out or sending a message. It's like, I'm noticing that I'm thinking about you a lot and I just want to say hello. I just want to say hello. So it's not that it's
Right.
wrong or bad, but it's like, what do I need to do to help move this along? Or what can I do that might
That,
feel loving and
that's
supportive?
a good point because I don't usually do that. I'll just say I'll move on. I know I'll speak to her later, but maybe it's good idea to sometimes I'll do that. I think of somebody else, I'll text them or call them.
Yeah. Usually if I'm having a pretty full day, like where I feel filled and I'm receiving a lot, I notice that I start to get these just big gratitudes of people in my life and fun moments and all I want to do is reach out, not by phone, but just like to message people, "Hey, I thought of this funny time we had together," or, what's on your mind? I'm thinking about you lately. And I think it's a really nice, I speak to a lot of people who don't want to, you're really good about being on the phone with people. But for some people like myself, it can be really exhausting. And so just reaching out with a message, PS doesn't mean I want a phone call. It just means I'm sending out a message to people, not to you, but I'm just saying like people I don't speak to daily. I'm just sending you some love, thinking of you. And it doesn't mean we need to have like a 2-hour conversation. But I think it's really nice to do that because most people who feel forgotten about could just use a little bit of attention to know the relationship is going. And it doesn't mean, I don't think about that person anymore.
Yeah, like yesterday, I had lunch with two of Vera's kids and one of the husband of her daughter, and I was sitting next to Trey. And usually Trey doesn't call me, but he called me like after the lunch was over because he had to leave early. He said, "I wish I was sitting across from you instead of next to you. I couldn't really hear everything you're saying. You're a lot more interesting than the things they were saying because I was telling some interesting stories that he couldn't hear." But I felt really validated, and approved of. So it felt good that he called. It was just like a 30-second call, but it's nice to get.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really strong point is that I experience most people as not feeling their needs met or not being validated. And so, just one little sprinkle, if you notice someone that shows up in your head, it could be a past relationship or just someone in your family, someone you care about, whoever, that if you just sprinkle a little of your noticing them in your mind, it's so loving. I don't know if I get that, but I know that I do it with purpose and intention. And when I'm thinking about someone and I feel full for and joyful when I'm thinking about them, it feels so good to reach out and just say, "Hey, you're an amazing person for this and this
Right.
reason."
And it's nice that they respond, but they don't have to respond. It's because
Right. Totally. Good stuff. All right. I mean, this is a huge topic, but if there's anything else you want to say this time about
I
noticing,
felt kind of maybe that was a good place to end. I'm not sure. But you are beautiful, and I love looking at you. So we can just stare at each other.
we can have a whole channel of just enjoying each other.
Next 10 minutes, Shay and I will just stare at each other's face.
Yay. It's funny, I usually look at myself when I do these videos, like I'm always looking, but now I
Yeah,
feel very happy looking at you.
I'm looking at you, kid.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up our noticing chat today. And I'll put the link for our next Parn group in the meeting in the thing below. And thanks for tuning in.